name is Sagar Memon, and I'm on the Vancouver Startup Week team. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge that we are grateful to be virtually gathered on Indigenous lands, regardless of where you're joining us from. I'm grateful to be on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish people. I'm privileged to live, work, and play on these lands. First, I'd like to thank you for joining us for VSW 2021, and welcome to the Nude Beverages session hosted by Nude Beverages. And so, before we get things started off, this session is part of the VSW Growth Track and is proudly supported by Innovate BC. Innovate BC is a Crown agency that provides small businesses around the province with funding, business coaching, and educational content. They're helping entrepreneurs and founders start and scale their businesses and adapt to the changes brought on by COVID-19. If you're looking for support for your business, make sure you stop by their booth to learn more about how they can help. I also want to thank Nude Beverages for being an event partner and also a sponsor. BSW could not happen without the continued support from our community sponsors. If you have any questions for our speaker, please post them in the Q&A in the Whova session. You can also upvote questions. I'll now pass a mic over to Jaren and we'll begin the session.
Thank you for that, Sadar. Grateful to be here. Welcome to everyone. I think this is my second time around at Vancouver Startup Week. Big fan, and thank you for having me out. Thanks to Vivi and Eric and the whole team. And hope you're enjoying day 4. And I too would like to acknowledge that we are on unceded territories for Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, as well as Squamish. So I am a guest on this land. And I did do a quick poll online. I got a number of people messaging me through the app, but I asked if you consume beer and if you care about sugar content in beverages and if you care about ingredients that go into it. So those are all great questions because it's some of the questions we asked before bringing Nude to life. So with that said, Jaren Meche, co-founder and co-owner of Nude Beverages, and I will give you my lens on Nude and my experiences in the journey in the last 5-6 years. I do have a small deck, but I wanted to highlight that and I want to focus on startup, on scaling and expansion, on sharing the vision and the dream, having the right people on the bus, as well as sustainable growth. So with that said, I will transfer onto Quick Deck, and then ideally I'd like to go into some Q&A, and feel free to jump in after the presentation. We'll go a little bit deeper. I'm assuming you can all see the slides. We did test it earlier, so welcome. Nude Beverages is a Canadian-owned, operated, and produced alcoholic beverage company. And if you get a chance, you can go on social and just follow us at Nude Beverages. I'd like to kind of go through some pre-launch, some history of the brand, some market update, and how we built the gram and where we're at, as well as some learning lessons. And some of these are interesting. Raise double and plan for delays. You think you can do it on a small budget, but sometimes you'll realize that you need a lot more than you anticipated. Partnerships to achieve economies of scale is really important for us. And issues with rapid growth and expansion and competition that will happen to anybody who's scaling fast. So company timeline, my business partner, CEO, and founder Julius McCarroll started working on Nude in 2015, even previous to that. So he had the genius idea of conceptualizing and idealizing the product as well as naming it Nude, which was unreal. We incorporated the company in 2015. I joined in 2016. We both quit our jobs in 2017. So that is 2016 is about 7 months before we launched, and we launched on July 2017. So kind of what makes her different. A lot of people we found were drinking sugar-induced beverages that got them bloated or give them a sugar-induced hangover the next day. They were limited in offerings they could have. There weren't that many local alternatives. Some people were tired of drinking beer or wanted something more sessionable. So we wanted a beverage that could be consumed by as many people as possible that wasn't kind of limiting their experience or their occasion. Something you can take, outdoors on a hike or drink at a barbecue with friends, or something quick and convenient that's a crack and go at an event or a festival. So the formulation, kind of the benefits there are sugar-free, sweetener-free, gluten-free, 100 calories, and we're produced by an award-winning beverage developer. We're also our production facility is here in BC. All the vodka is purchased in Canada. It's triple distilled award-winning vodka that comes from a corn base. So hence the gluten-free aspect of it. We wanted something that if you held in your hand, you know exactly what it was. So it's a vodka soda in a can, lightly flavored, 5%. And then we have the benefits around the top of the can. So unsweetened, sugar-free, and so on. We wanted something that stood out at the time. It was very kind of bright, a lot of craft brewer style of branding. There wasn't many that were clean, crisp, minimalistic, modern. So we went with a simple can. It took us a long time to get there, actually over hundreds on the designs. And we wanted to have that built-in marketing and the unisex appeal. So it wasn't just a specific gender or demographic and so on. This was our kind of case target and sales projection before we even got started, and this is what we were projecting. And also when we raised money with our family and friends round in the second and third time, we're projecting to get to about 800,000 cases at the end of 2022, or actually mid 2023, and kind of going in global markets. Well, we ended up going a lot faster than that. We got to a million cases in 2019. So this is something that you may need to put if you are raising money and show kind of the pipeline um, and your forecast for the future. So as I mentioned earlier, we are Canadian owned, produced, and operated. Our benefits are that are sugar-free, sweetener-free, carb-free, and gluten-free, all natural flavors and extracts. And we take pride in giving back. That's ingrained in our DNA. So we take pride in being socially conscious. We pledge to donate over $1 million to animal rescue organizations by 2023. We have our Pride Pack that supports 100% Rainbow Refugee Society, COVID-19 relief plan that we did, and Black Lives Matter donations and education and awareness pieces that we've done. We see that we have an opportunity to speak up and we want to take that action. So we're a passionate, people-centric team, is what we say. A bit about our culture and social impact, and I'm very keen on giving back, and so is the whole team. And that's ingrained, like I said, in our DNA. So we give back to animal rescue organizations. But we want to be the discovery brand, the local brand, your brand that makes an emotional connection with the consumer instead of just a name brand from a multinational conglomerate that's, you know, probably owned somewhere in Europe or Brazil or outside of Canada. So we want to grow with the community. We want to grow with, the arts. We want to grow with great people, and we're a lifestyle brand. We're not an alcohol beverage brand as I see it, and ideally want to empower us to do the same thing Julius and I did, and just quit our jobs and start our own business. And we want to do that in a way where we leave some impact and take care of our people, and create a culture where we look forward to showing up at work every day. So with that, we wanted the lifestyle of Better For You incorporated in our products. This is a little bit of our cultural impact. We're shocked to see it, how many people in the first and second year dressed up as Nude Beverages and Nude Vodka Soda for Halloween. We have super fans that have painted and decorated their cars or trucks, people that get tattoos. Recently, I saw somebody with a watermelon can tattoo. That's really cool. Custom made cakes. And this is kind of more of our digital footprint online on some of our launches with our hard seltzer as well too. So we want to get some of the iconic representations of the brand in some of the most recognizable places. And as you could tell, some of this we were shot in COVID, so there's not many people in Vegas, as you can see on the top left. This is where we are currently. We are one of the few brands that's nationally available. And I put this slide up to show how many SKUs we have across the country, but also to educate everyone on the growth of the ready to drink category in Canada. Traditionally, um, innovations led from the West Coast, even with Mike's Hard Lemonade and Palm Bay. And the RTD has been low, it's been low margin and high real estate, but it hasn't been that much revenue for retail owners until recently as it's growing in share and popularity. So in 2016, there was about 16 million cases sold. And as the last year, it doubled over 34 million cases. So consumers are gravitating to convenience and better for you products instead of grabbing a 2 6 of vodka, soda, cups, ice, mix, um, limes, lemon garnish, straws. It's kind of, you're crack and go and no cleanup, so high convenience. But it has grown and it'll surpass these numbers this year. And it gives opportunities for consumers to choose what their drink of choice is: locally made, innovation, certain flavor profiles, more craft products instead of your traditional conglomerate brands that you might see on the shelves or own the shelves. This is our hard seltzer. So this is not a spirit-based product; it's a malt-based product, and this is what we have in the U.S. So we're in just over 27 states in the U.S., and it does have the same offerings as our Canadian version of the product. So when making the jump from Canada to U.S., take your time, make sure compliance is good to go, and make sure you have the proper funding and resources, because sometimes you can go too quickly and it could potentially hurt the cash flows and inventories of your product as well too as you scale. These are the states that we're in, and I also put some highlighted numbers on. You can look at the F&B category, which is fermented malt beverages. This is a little bit outdated in December, but it shows the year for 2020 is just over $8 billion. And hard seltzers didn't really exist about 5 years ago. They were a mere 250,000 in revenue, but now it's almost making up more than half of the whole category of anything canned that is not a beer. So it's over 4 billion or close to 4 billion in top line revenue. So it's the fastest growing industry in alcohol beverage, and it's super exciting. And consumers finally have a sessionable, refreshing, better for you, low calorie beverage that they can pick up and consume. That is sums it up. But I do want to go over a quick deck so we can have everybody um, in the same ballpark, in the same page. And with that said, what's been really interesting is as a startup is the amount of time and dedication it takes and your commitment to growing the brand, but as well as the mental commitment you have to put into that. And what I mean is sometimes you have to let go of your ego ideally all the time, and you have to be okay with failure, you have to be okay with rejection, you have to be okay with getting no from either a customer, a buyer, a chain. You know, it's you got to be okay with rejection. And not everyone's going to think that your idea is the best idea and it's going to be phenomenal. I remember the first 30 plus investors we went to, they all said no. And they didn't know that the space was going to boom. They didn't believe on what we're doing and what we wanted to offer. And, fast forward to 2021, we've sold over 100 million units from a startup in 2017. So, I would encourage you to keep working hard and stay focused to your dream, and keep one foot after another and keep opening doors. And I often say that a no is is an inquiry for more information, and every no brings you closer to a yes. So it doesn't mean that it's a no forever. It may be a no for now, and go back to educate their buyer or that investor or so on and so forth. So I wanted to maximize the 30 minutes we had, and I wanted to go through the deck fairly quickly in order to leave room for any questions or discussions. So with that said,
There is one question
yeah,
in the Q&A, and so it's from our very own Viv, and she says, a lot of other beverage brands are hopping on the vodka soda train or in branding the white can. How are you making
Hmm.
sure that Nude still stands out among the others?
That's a great question. We have to face it all the time. I'm going to make an ACV beverage, a soda. But traditionally, you've got about 3 to 4 players that take the lead, and there's hundreds of beverages coming out and dozens, if not more, being in a white can. So it is a very noisy environment and it is very competitive. So how to get that share of mind is a great question. We're fortunate enough that we're first mover advantage, and we're kind of the original vodka soda. We're Canada's first in 5%, and we're the first white can. Uh, but how do you differentiate from a sea of white cans? And how do you help consumers make that choice? So there's a few things, and I think it's a mixture of all. There's no right answer, but owning your voice and communicating and keeping that relationship with the consumer, giving back like we do, having great POS and owning the store before the consumer walks in. So whether it be with posters, new displays, stickers, fringe clings, tent cards, so on, that does move the needle a bit. I'm a big fan of the original old school word to mouth, and if you like it, then consumers will buy it. And we built this brand on liquid to lips and going out and growing people's businesses. So we've done thousands of samplings over the years, and we believe that our product and our taste and our quality is superior. So we let our product speak for ourselves. So we hope that once we get that trial and awareness, that consumers will be coming back to our brand. Not every single purchase, but at least they know we're there. And I think we take pride in what we do and we give back. And we're one of the few brands that is locally produced. We're one of the few brands that's kept on hiring people during the pandemic instead of letting people go. We produce here. We donate to local causes that we believe in, and if we feel like we don't we do that because that's we truly we want to do that. But I feel like that resonates with a lot of people, and I think being local does play an advantage. But it's harder for us in markets we don't have presence in to build the brand there, and it's harder to get that trial and awareness if it's East Coast US and it's led by White Claw and Truly and some other brands. How does someone pick up a Nude Beverages or a Nude Hard Seltzer? So it is a tough question, and I'm grateful that Vivian asked it.
Vivian posed another one that was asked of her, and she wanted to know, do you take suggestions for flavors?
I think we take suggestions all the time for flavors, and it's a long process, and we have a full innovations team that goes through an arduous process of trying dozens and dozens of variations of a single flavor. But yeah, and sometimes we let the consumers vote. Like I remember in 2018, in the winter, we launched our raspberry lemon, and that was due to consumers, but most importantly, a liquor store manager named Corey Law from Black Sheep Liquor Store in Maple Ridge. And it's just listening to the people that know it. Like I don't claim to know it all or be best. I go in with the mindset of I know nothing, and I'm gonna learn from the consumer and the managers and the stores and what's best for them, and try and support. And she mentioned that raspberry is a great flavor, and so is lemon, and that citrus and that combo would be very refreshing, but it also wouldn't alienate the male consumer. And it's something that could be drank by both genders. And it also doesn't exist in the current flavor offering or profile. So raspberry lemon is our top moving SKU, and even another conglomerate or massive company, multi-billion-dollar company, White Claw, came out with a raspberry and is doing quite well. So we listen to the consumers, we listen to store managers or our stakeholders or our partners in this, and we put that into interaction, and then we brought it to life. And other times we do limited edition SKUs, like watermelon was last year, and we had thousands of people wanting it back, and we had to bring it back this summer.
That's perfect. Raspberry
Yeah.
lemon is actually one of my favorites, and I know it's one of Viv's as well. So it's great to hear that. Um, one of the questions I always see kind of popping up is, um, As a startup that's either in beverages or food, what kind of things that would you kind of tell your past self, that any certain lessons that you've learned?
Beverage and food. How to my past self. Yeah, there's a lot of learning lessons. I think raising enough money to do things properly. I think having clear brand guidelines is really important when you start early because you're going to be taking the brand, if it's successful, across the country or in different markets. And if you don't know your brand voice or how your brand shows up, and you might have it in your head as founders, but you might have a hard time extracting that out. And you got to communicate that to hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people one day. So, how do you go about doing that? That could be challenging. So, that's one thing to know where your values are. I'm really I'm really keen on being values aligned. And also, sometimes you think you might have a great idea, but it may not work out. Like, I've probably done over 20 jobs in my life, and I've had multiple startups that early on, you know, didn't really work out, or they worked there for a few years, and I had to fold them. And typically, um, 85% of startups don't work out, and 95% of them don't make it after year five or hit the 5 million top line. So spend some time thinking about how you're going to go about it, and instead of just diving in and working as you go. That could work sometimes, trusting your gut, but do the due diligence. Like if you're going in the plant-based sector, or actually we'll go back into beverages or non-alc beverages in Canada, what's the market size for those beverages? What current offerings are there in the market? Is there a gap in the market? What are consumers looking for? Are they looking for clean ingredients? Are they looking for functional beverages? Are they looking for something that is refreshing, hydrating, as well as having minerals and vitamins? Or are they looking for, post workout protein shake? Like what exactly are they looking for? What is there in the market that doesn't exist? And I'm a big fan of asking for help. You know, the more people you get involved in, the more people you ask and you look through the options, the better understanding you'll have. And typically, I often say that you have to raise double and plan for double or if not triple the time, because compliance, manufacturing, especially with navigating alcohol laws in different provinces and distribution and the three-tier system in the US, it can get quite challenging um, to grow at the pace you want to grow. Um, so, two rules that I live by for just in life, but even for any business is people don't care what you know until they know that you care. So, take interest in your clients and in your customers and the businesses you work with, and learn about them and see how you can help them grow. Um, and I really like being of service and seeing what you can do with your experience or with the product you have and how you're going to make the money or generate, or bring foot traffic to their stores. And the other one is under promise and over deliver. It's a simple rule, but not that many people follow it. Not that many people follow through with their words. So if you say, hey, the product is going to arrive next week at this time, the product better arrive that next week at that time because they're making room for you or they've emptied out a shelf or a row. So typically, if you're getting started in, you know, consumer or CPG or fast moving consumer goods, there's a couple things that buyers are looking for. They're looking for the right margin and they're looking for high velocity and pent up demand. So you want to make sure that you hit those two before you approach them. And
Definitely.
yeah,
Another one that, of course, like one of the main kind of questions that people always have is with regards to investors. And so you were saying at the beginning, it was a little bit difficult getting investors to kind of, see what you see. So
Yeah.
what kind of advice would you give for, you know, or at that beginning stage when you did finally start to get investors, what
Yeah.
helped you convince them? And then now moving forward, how do you approach investors?
This is great. I deal with this a bit because I like to help out local companies that are growing and need support. And typically they struggle with raising money. Um, if I'm an investor and I'm investing in a company, what I look for passionate founders, founders that have a great work ethic, that know the space and are resilient. Um, yeah, you're at the end of the day, you're investing in people, right? As an investor, typically in startup, majority of them don't succeed. And chances are that if they do well, the founders are going to come back to you to ask for more money to grow. Um, and especially in the case of the economy and the markets right now, investors could probably make more money in the capital markets than they can make privately investing in companies. But you really want to see it in the investor lens and make sure that the money that you're asking for is going to good use and the unit economics are strong, as well as the forecasting is achievable and you can actually make money, and you got to have a profitable business. Especially if you're taking people's money. And I think it's really important, if you are taking people's money, that you know exactly the expectations for both sides and you have the proper governance and communication with your investors, as well as that there's an exit. Some people can give you money and might not get an exit for 10, 15 years. There's so many great examples of wonderful brands and startup stories. Even Smart Suites, I think last year they sold for just over a few hundred million. Um, but I'm sure they took early on investors, but they had a strategy and growing the brand and either partnering up with a strategic partner to grow it internationally or for an acquisition down the road. So you want to be clear with what the expectations for both sides are, if that makes sense.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. It's always interesting to see kind of everybody always goes back to it's all about the founding team and management and how passionate they are, how willing they are to kind of give it their all. So that's really good to hear. Um, Another question was, um, can you tell us more about some of the other companies that you're involved in and kind of the stories behind those?
Yeah, for sure. And last thing on the investor stuff is you want to make
Yeah,
sure that when investor invests in the company or in your company that they're not doing that at a high risk. Some people would like high risk with high reward, but you want to make sure that you can mitigate risk and make sure to de-risk them going forward. So some of the other companies that I'm involved with Blue Heron Creamery. I'm a shareholder as well as a director there. And I fell in love with the founders, especially the chef and founder Karen McCarthy. She's world renowned for her cheese making ability, and it was I love the high quality cheeses, the way that they pay homage to the tradition of making cheese, aging it, microbes, how it is inoculated the lactic acid, how it ferments and ages. It's just super inspiring, right? And it's something that I can get behind on because it's better for the people, it's better for the planet, it's better for the economy, and it provides consumers that have had a dire need to have high quality plant based, dairy free cheeses accessible to them. So that's one that I'm super excited about. And another one is Wakewater, which is Canada's first caffeinated sparkling beverage. So it's an energy drink. It's clean energy. It's sugar free and sweetener free, but it gives you that sustainable energy kick from 85 milligrams of green tea
it's definitely
extract.
been keeping us all awake this week.
Has it?
So
Oh
we
yeah, you guys got
appreciate the
some.
wake
Oh,
water.
wicked! Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad you got some. Yeah, it actually works, right? Because typically when you consume energy drinks, you either get the high sugar and high caffeine, and you go up and you got to crash. This is
Exactly.
quite clean, and sustainable, and it gives you that guilt free kind of pick me up.
And yeah, if you ever need taste testers for Blue Heron, we have a few people over at VSW that would love to
Okay, yeah.
contribute to the
Well,
cause there.
that'd be great. Well, you can follow them online, and they sell out pretty quickly. And our plant is just getting up and running, and the first batches of cheeses are getting aged. But I know on around Main and 8th in the in the storefront. It's only open for 8 hours and they sell it quickly, but you can probably get, direct to consumer box or direct delivery. But yeah, I'll let the team know that we have some more hands on deck for
Amazing.
trial and awareness.
Another one was how did you choose SPCA as your charity of choice?
You know what? My business partner Julius and I are super passionate about animals. I was fortunate enough, with the help of Nude, to rescue an animal 2 years ago. Lily Mango, she is a sweetheart and basically like my best friend. I love her so much.
Amazing.
But we're really passionate about it. And Julius had a few friends that ran rescue organizations. I had one as well too, and they're typically not funded. Not they're probably funded very poorly if they are, and the government doesn't really fund them much. So we wanted to have an impact, and we love animals, and we want to do our part, even though if it's tiny or small. So we've pledged to do 1% of our time, cans, and proceeds to animal rescue organizations, and it just felt right.
That makes sense. Um, and just want to make a note to the participants. If you have any questions, either raise your hand or pop them into the Q&A in Huva. Jaren, are there any other things that you'd like to discuss with the crowd?
No, it's fantastic. Thank you for having me. Wish you all another great week and enjoy Vancouver Startup Week. And thank you for doing what you do. This is a great service, and thank you for the package. I love trying local brands, and I'm excited. I really like this one too. Bliss balls are awesome.
That's
And
amazing.
yeah, I like the
Well,
ACV product because I'm big in kind of vinegar based apple cider vinegar products. So
I am too.
yeah,
Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you
thanks for
to
having me.
yourself, Jaren, and to Nude Beverages, and for all the attendees for joining the session.